CBS presents this program in color.
Love is a many splendored thing. Brought to you by Vanquish, the pain reliever created to keep your headache from coming back.
I can't finish this rehearsal. Headache's back.
Honey, take something.
I did. Usual tablets. Worked fast. This headache came back.
Take some Vanquish.
Why Vanquish?
Vanquish combines 3 medications for extra pain relief action, plus 2 buffers. A more complete formula designed for more complete relief.
Your headache better?
Never came back.
With Vanquish, your headache shouldn't come back.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Life is many a splendid thing. Tonight, we'll be talking about a very peculiar woman who left a strong impression with us last time, and who has decided to tell her story in this here marvelous book, The Color Purple. Now, let's not forget our sponsors, Vanquish and Tide, helping women everywhere keep to their gender-specific duties. After all, who would lead the world if men had to do their own laundry too? Okay, so now, moving on. So this here book tells us about a girl who was raped by her own father after her mother refused him. Forced to birth 2 children from this man, she left school and decided to protect her sister from him after her own mama died. Now guys, ain't this here a treat? She went on to be abused by her husband, who bought her from her father, along with a cow. She was made to raise his children and give him pleasure at the cost of her identity. Now, here she could have used some Vanquish, do you not agree, boys? After she was forced to separate from her sister, she started descending into darker thoughts. The only thing that kept her from going from the cracks was her letters to God. Now, this is why y'all need some Jesus in your lives. Now, this all separation of theirs was apparently because this girl's silly sister Nettie was too tough to be pushed around by the husband, who liked going by the name Mister, and making them work in his cotton farm. Sally goes on to meet Mister's mistress, who is named Shug, and was a very successful and independent woman, known for her singing and her acting. However, Shug was terribly sick and needed to be nursed back to health by Sally, which was her whole purpose for being there. However, they both fell in love, and Shug taught Sally how to live her life as an independent woman and start wearing pants, which would allow her to be much more comfortable than in the dresses she used to wear. The pants come to become a symbol of Nellie's independence, as she becomes a tailorer who does pants for both men and women, and who starts to live out on her own. She finds strength and courage in herself after she learns her father was actually not her father but her stepfather, and her dad was actually a good man who was lynched by the white folk who were envious of him. She also finds her kids to be alive, and her sister as well, living in Africa with a pair of missionaries. And they decide to reunite. And after 30 long years, they all live happily ever after. Now, there is some things to be learned from this here girlie's story. Among them are that violence is the illusion of control. As we can see throughout her story, many of her peoples, as she would call them, are subdued with violence by men or those above them, which gives the illusion of them having control over them, while it is mostly them being subservient and going along with it because there is no other option. Now, something other we can see from this story is that religion can serve as an anchor of hope, because without her letters to God, Sally would have gone mad. She would have long ago given up her hope in life, and committed suicide or something worse. By keeping a diary with God, she is capable of maintaining her sanity and moving on into the future, where she comes to find a great life due to all the people she meets. And this brings us on to our next point, which is that family is more than those related by blood. What I mean by this is that although Sally has a great sister and friend in her sibling Nettie, she loses her at some point in her life, and she goes on to develop other relationships that will help her maintain herself, and that will help her grow as a person, will help her find herself. And this, she goes on to call her people, and in a sort, they are her family, who are not related to her by blood, but who will always be there, be it hard times or simple ones. They will help her out. Yeah. Now, here, my partner will help explain the last two things we can learn from this.
Race does not define humanity is another theme in the book, because almost all the characters are black. And even though the main character, father was lynched by white people, she still felt that she can be independent in a world that thought that she couldn't be independent. She went out even though she was black and tried to make her independence in a world that was telling her that she could not be independent. Sexuality does not define a person is another theme that is in this book, because in the book, a lot of the characters, when they start becoming better people, when they see to the other side, when they see that women are not just made for the kitchen, or not just made to please men, and that men aren't always the bad people, and that they have good qualities. And then the fact that two women in the story end up together, that's a big deal, because at that time that was not popular, and it wasn't a custom, it wasn't a thing. So sexuality in the story is huge, because once they got over that barrier, once they figured out who they were and what they wanted to do and who they loved, it made them who they were, and it defined them. It didn't define them anymore, actually. It used to define them, and it did not define them anymore. And that is a great quality.
Thanks for joining us this week, and join us next time.